Hey guys, welcome back to the Human Condition. Today we're going to be talking about philosophy, the philosophy segment. This is episode 1 for philosophy. I think this is going to be a pretty cool one because we're talking about, my first question to you guys is, do you think truth is subjective or objective? My take on it is that it's probably both subjective and objective. And the reason I think this is because truth, a lot of people say it's subjective and some people say it's objective. For example, some people say, oh, truth is whatever you make it, like your perception. And that, I think there's some grain of truth to that because the way you see the world is true to you, but it might not always be the objective truth. And, but a lot of people say objective truth isn't a thing. But I kind of disagree with that because everyone knows 2 + 2 is 4, and it's not like 2 + 2 is 5, So that's like objective truth. And a more specific thing would be like biology, science, all those types of things are really specific truth because they're in plain view. Like you can't deny like the grass is green. I mean, green is a made up concept, and like grass is a word that's made up, but it's still true. So I believe subjective truth and objective truth are both very important. So let's see. So these are camera, dude. So these are some of the reasons why I believe truth to be subjective and objective. Because there's some things that you can't deny are true, and there's other things where it's kind of morally gray, some people argue this is right and some people argue this is right, and in a sense they both probably are true to them, but just because it's true to them doesn't mean it's like the objective truth. And I think a lot of times truth can be subjective and objective because of this. And some people believe the earth is flat. And to them that might be true because but it's objectively it's round. I mean, it could be, but objectively it's probably round. And I'm pretty positive it's round. So there's objective things that are true, and some people have their own subjective truths. For example, another example would be is, say there's an airplane and one person says up and the other person says it's down. From the person on the ground, yes, the airplane is up, but let's say there's a hot air balloon. I don't know if hot air balloons travel that high in the air, but let's say they do, and then it's above the airplane, right? And then they look down, and then to them, they say the airplane's down. Who's right? Well, they're both their answers are true, but it's about the perception, about perspectives. So it's a kind of crazy thought, like, well, crazy, but it's like people's perspective and perception make somewhat of truth. Not all truth, but most truth is because the way you think about things and the way you see things is true. That being said, I think there's a difference between subjective truth and subjective opinions. And I think subjective opinions become truth the more you think about them. Like, it doesn't become ingrained within you until you really decide to take this opinion and be like, I don't think this is opinion, I think this is true. I believe this. So I think everyone has their subjective opinions, and they grow as long as people reinforce them. And when people stop reinforcing them, objective opinions become like they don't believe them in as much anymore. Whereas subjective truths are harder to, like, if someone has a different subjective truth than you, it's really harder to prove them wrong because they really want to believe what they want to believe. In the end of the day, people want to believe their idea of the reality is true, which is, it makes sense. It's only human nature to be like, I want to believe what I believe is true, and that's fair for everyone to believe what they want to believe is true. However, so everyone lives this way, and that's why I think debates are kind of dumb. I support debates, but I think 90% of the time, two people don't just come in there with their subjective opinions. They come in there with their subjective truths. And then what ends up happening 90% of the time, it's possible to get someone to change their subjective truth, but it takes some very, very hard convincing. It's like a ladder, right? Subjective truth. You have to get them back to their subjective opinion. Then after you get them back to their subjective opinion, then really make your point and then they might come over to your side. But the chances of that happening, I'd say, are like maybe 10 to less than 10% of someone changing their truth based off your debate or your truth. So that's why I think debates are useful, but just kind of sometimes like trivial, because at the end of the day, this person's going to come in with their subjective truth, and you're going to have your own subjective truth. And the real question is who both people believe their subjective truth is the overall objective truth. But at the end of the day, none of us really know what the objective truth is until our beliefs are guaranteed to us once, we all inevitably one day, one day we all aren't going to be chilling around here as much anymore, which is kind of dark and a shame. But then we will be proven our objective truth to be right, and we all have our objective truth on how we see the world. And when that happens, we'll all realize if our objective truth was right or not. So that's why I think sometimes it's important to debate, but a lot of times you have to go in there with the mindset of I'm gonna hear these other people's opinions, but I'm not gonna be upset if I can't change their mind, because at the end of the day, it's very, very tough to change people's minds. So I think that is why I believe subjective truth and objective truth are both pretty lit, and I think they're both true. I think a lot of people say no, truth isn't objective, and no, truth isn't subjective, but I think they're both equally important. I think truth is subjective and objective. We just all don't know really. I mean, we have pretty strong beliefs, and we could say we're like 99% sure, and some people will be like, I'm 100% sure, because that they really believe in what they do, and that's reasonable to really believe in what you believe, in your opinions. But we all don't really know until that day comes, But yeah, so we all have those, and our objective truths, our subjective truths that we believe to be the overall universal objective truths. And basically life at the end of the day is trying to convince other people to believe what you believe, and you can't, but also to respect other people when they don't believe what you believe. And don't have the idea that I'm going to change their mind, but I'm going to at least try. I probably won't change their mind, but I'm at least going to try each day to make them see something they never thought about, a new cool concept, a new lit idea, even if they don't, they might still think an idea that's opposite of what they believe is, could still have some validity and still be a pretty cool idea, even if they necessarily don't believe it. So it's important to everyone to share their opinions and their own truths and their own opinions. But at the end of the day, no one should expect other people to change their subjective opinions or their subjective truths, because it's very tough to do so. But I don't think that should stop us from trying to do so. So that was my concept and my philosophy on the question, is truth subjective or objective? What's your take? I mean, I could be completely out of pocket, could be wrong, I understand. If you think that's kind of out of pocket, like how can two opposites, I completely get that. I mean, I might not be right, but I think that's a cool concept to at least think about, that, truth might not just be subjective or objective, it might be more kind of like a gray area, like truth might be subjective and objective. So I hope you thought this philosophical question was pretty lit, a pretty cool question. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you like and subscribe, leave a comment if you believe truth is subjective or objective. I love to hear it. I love you guys. Make sure you like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.